So this is a very interesting panel discussion, set of panel, because 5 of the filmmakers here have films in competition. So we have Herman, Yao, and Kiki, all are in competition for Best Narrative Feature, and Natalie and Oriol are in competition for Best Documentary Feature. And Shakirah is the winner of our last year's RBC Vision. So a very warm welcome. So let's give our panelists. So the first question I'm going to ask is about the idea of Caribbean identity with your film. Now, Yao, for example, you have developed over the years.
Caribbean identity is very diverse. It's not one thing, just like the Caribbean aesthetic. There's no one aesthetic, and there's always the individual visionary. But in my case now, I have a new thing called the dialect, which is the visual equivalent of our dialect. And in my film Haiti Bride, you will see a sort of Edenic reverse Caribbean, where the man gives the woman a mango rather than Eve give Adam the apple, you know? But again, I want to shoot a film, and by circumstance, the way the film is reflects the conditions accurately. And I want to talk about Shakirah's point, because her screenwriting in this film is very exceptional because it's raw and real. And we still look at the West wants plasticity and artifice, and there was a thing about the imperfect cinema from so-called third world. It's beautiful because, as I said, you know, as Bob said, we refuse to be what you wanted us to be. We are what we are, and that's the way it's going to be. You can't educate us about no equal opportunity, talking about freedom. You understand? So don't be boxed in, and we can refuse to comply with the colonial and neo-colonial imperatives. And that's what we got to be stand firm about. Because what is so imperfect is beautiful, because human beings are imperfect. And then you want this kind of, even the independent cinema wants this kind of Hollywood polish. We don't come from there. My films are lit by the sun. Haiti Bride is simply sunlight, nothing else. The Caribbean sun is my force. I don't want your lights. I'm not polluting the planet. It's a solar movie, right? Solar power, God bless. Stand strong, Caribbean. Stand strong, Caribbean. Be yourself.
I'm a born and bred Bajan, and I write what I know. And therefore, I have no choice but to have Barbadian identity in my movies. So actually, the very first movie, Payday, a guy told us before it was screened that it would never make it to screen because it had in too many cuss words. And the youth in the movie, they speak, every other word is a cuss word. And I needed that reality to be reflected in the actual film to make it authentic. So, you know, I could have changed it up, I could have removed some of the cuss words, but I didn't. And one of the good feedback that we've been getting about the film is that it is real. And that's something that was reflected throughout the language. And, you know, that's how we show the identity of the Barbados and the Caribbean, through the language and through the characters. That's something that we got that, you know, people never really saw themselves on screen like this. So, you know, they reacted well to that, and that was a relief because I thought that the Christian community would have, you know, run me out of the country. The second film, Too Smart, again, is the language. If we need to use subtitles, we will, you know, but I made sure that the Barbadian dialect was coming through. The landscape was always there, was always showing some aspect of Barbados. So, to me, that's how I show the Caribbean and the Bajan identity, really just showing who we are as a people on screen and not really trying to tidy it up.
What is it for you?
Well, I'm a writer by choice and everything else not by choice. So, honestly, it's like, you know, I had been writing for such a long time and nothing ever became of the scripts until I was forced by Stalin over there to really do other roles. So, you know, everything else for me is a necessity. Honestly, if I had a choice, I would write and then show up in the cinema to see the movie on the day premiere. So, you know, everything else, I mean, it's not that, you know, I'm learning to enjoy different things, but ultimately writing and telling the story and making sure I have good characters, and, you know, that's the main thing for me.
So do you relate to characters differently then? Because as a writer, you're developing these characters from a different perspective, and then you directing, and then you do it. I mean, does it work for you being a writer, having to develop and then
Because initially when you create a character, you have this set of ideas of what this person should be. And then when the actor has their own interpretation of the character, no, it's a bit different, but you just have to really be open-minded. And there are some things that I was like, wow, they really brought a new layer to the character that I never thought of before. And other things I wasn't so sure about, but you just let it see where it would develop, and then if it went too far, then you just pull it back. But yeah, it's really about compromise and trying to get the best for the film, really. So I had to put my writer stance aside, when me and Ricky directed.
One of the leading Haitian film actors wanted to be in my films, but he's appropriate for certain film. But this, I want people looking normal, talking normal. I don't like method acting. And a lot of what people said is, along with me, I draw out all of them are non-actors. So I draw the truth in what their lives are about. When I show the scenes to people in Haiti when we're filming, and after we film it, I ask them, does it sound normal to you? And they're like, absolutely.
I just want to say something about the whole using actors versus non-actors. In the very first movie, all of the main characters were non-actors, and a lot of actors then predicted doom because they said there's no way that non-actors could do justice to the script. Actually, that's what one person told me. There's no way a non-actor would do justice to the script, and what we find was that we were able to work best with the non-actors because I don't know if because they weren't sure or confident, they were so willing to, so open to suggestions and directions, whereas some of the other actors had an ego and so they thought that they knew exactly what they were doing, so they weren't as open. But I found that it's best, a mix is best, to have the non-actors and the actors together, because the actors sometimes help the non-actors. I've seen them doing acting coach sessions and asking for advice, whereas the actors look at the passion and the rawness that the non-actors bring and they get inspired. So I find that a balance between the two is best, but that's just my experience.
The actors are generally Barbados in film now. Are they drawn from theatre or they're screen actors now?
Most of them are from theatre. There's one or two that had studied film acting before, but as film is only now developing in Barbados, really, all of them were from theatre before.
We had, again, our conditions are different where we don't have dedicated or professional screen actors, and if people are drawn from theatre is always projecting to the last person in the room, but the camera's on your eyeball. So there's this over the top kind of performance that seems exaggerated.
Yeah, I was about to say a problem that we had was overacting sometimes, but you just had to really show them how they look in the camera, really, and they were like, oh, okay, and you need to tone it down. But those are those who were open to suggestions, because it's so hard. Me as a younger person to tell a person with 30 years more experience than I was alive that they're doing something wrong. So, but most people are open to suggestions. It's just one or two people may just have a little bit of an ego thing right now.
Sorry, there you filmmakers. Yeah, I don't know. Professional screen actor can give you take after take after take after take. But I think the challenge, if anyone wants to work with non-actors, you only have a few takes because they can't do the same thing emotionally again. So you have to be very careful to set it up and be rolling. Sometimes you tell them the camera's not rolling, it's a drag around. You fool the people, come on. The directors are manipulated. And then you get a take and then you just do a safety, and usually the first one is best, So it's a real trick, but I'm sure it's not just specific to the Caribbean, but to emerging spaces in film where we don't have a cadre of professional screen actors. And I would just want to jump on that and say, even if we did, maybe we need to look at something other than the method thing, where I can see you thinking, and it's so great, and you pause in between the lines, and come on, Brando was great, but Brando's dead now, and so is American narrative, and you need to move beyond. And I think, Caribbean is a new world. And we have the chance to create this new synthesis. That's why we're proud of ourselves and actually push it, because we are the future. We are rewriting the map while people are all over the place. Think the narrative film world is flat still. Well, guess what? It's round. Well, we're going to show them the new direction. Right? God bless.
Because of the time frame that you have to shoot your film, shooting it only at night, that it would have been, I imagine it would have been challenging all the way, but what was the most challenging aspect, the biggest obstacle that you had to
Being you mean besides staying awake? No, this is not a joke, I'm serious. We were shooting at night and working during the day. So honestly, around 2 o'clock in the morning, that's when you would really start to feel the burn. And thank God for rum, because I would actually walk around with a mug full of rum to try to just stay awake. You know, at that time people start getting miserable. You know, you're cold. It's a thriller, so some people are handcuffed in the van, so you know they're starting to get disgruntled. People are forgetting lines and having to do it. So you know, it was really stressful trying to get people to make sure people were still in a good mood, you know, during the night. And then as soon as the sun rose, they had to go to work and then to be back the next day. So that was a really, really big challenge in making this film. And I thank God it wasn't a comedy, you know, it was actually a thriller. So people had to be, you know, upset and traumatized. So it kind of worked for us, I guess. Another challenge was the space in the van. Initially we got a sponsor, the entire movie set in a food van. And when we got the van, the space was so small, 4 feet by something, I can't remember. And we had like scenes and all that stuff in the van, and you know, we were like, how are we going to get this done? We had the cameraman in windows trying to get a shot or laying on the floor. It was really tough, and honestly, I designed the movie saying that it was just 3 characters, 1 location. It should be so easy, and it turned out to be one of the most difficult things I've ever done in my life. You said that you were in Africa, and it was just you at that point in time. How did you manage to shoot your movie with just you, the camera, fixing the light and sound? How did you do that by yourself?
Well, it was tricky, you know. I guess I equal the world record. I don't think you can make a film without anybody, but it was tricky. I played about 13 or 14 technical roles. But really, in terms of movement, you know, it's restricted in certain ways, but handheld, I try my best, and I hope for the best. It looked nice to me so far. Coxburg got on gay, by the way. Oh, God, got good choice. Yeah, it's tough, you know, but I had the money again, and, well, little money. I don't know what people want to give me money. You think when it comes to arts, you know, not commercial. But yet again, all I did is I showed up to the camera, and you don't seek permission. I just flew into South Africa and started shooting, turned up with the community. But I must say, I stayed as usual with the family from the film and so on, and they sustained in terms of, you know, food and putting money into the family and the community, and they helped me out otherwise. So I didn't have any issues with that. But it was tricky, and the miking and stuff was real way. But I rigged it up and hit it and placed it in places, and we got some stuff out. But one more thing, we can make films on our own. I mean, one person, just money. We have to have a crew, and I could do some complex setups. But hey, you know, I ain't got no money, so I guess 2 became 1. You know.
Just really keep bringing out movies. We have our 3rd movie, which is Next Payday, a sequel to the very first one, and that's supposed to come out hopefully around Independence Day in Barbados, which is November 30th. So, and then I have to start writing the 4th movie because my partners over here are slave drivers. So, you know, I don't know when that one's going to be out, but you know, we have Too Smart. It still has to maybe get some US and UK distribution. And the first movie, Payday, is now on DVD, so we're trying to, you know, do some online distribution for that too.
Shakirah Bourne, Too Smart. So we really appreciate